From global trends to local reality, how is Africa positioning itself in the AI era? We'll explain it all here live from GITEX Africa 2026. Welcome to Vertiv's Perfect Pitch. Thanks for joining us here on set. Alex Brew, Vice President, Regional Sales for Europe, Middle East and Africa. Thanks to be here, Alex.
Pleasure to be here, thank you.
And Wojtek, Piorko, Managing Director for Africa. Thanks to be here.
Pleasure to be here, thank you.
Is it your first time here at GITEX, guys? Alex?
It's my first time at GITEX Africa.
GITEX Africa, first time. GITEX in total.
GITEX globally, not.
Yeah, we're in Dubai in October, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we're on the circuit. We're officially on the circuit.
Well, I think it's not the last one. I imagine
Definitely.
so. Vertiv, a global leader in critical digital infrastructure for applications in data centers, communication networks, and commercial and industrial environments. What does all this really mean for organizations today, Alex?
I think it's about understanding that organizations, enterprises now stand to go through a rapid period of transformation in terms of AI adoption and what that means for their businesses from a productivity perspective, from an entrepreneurial perspective. There's so many different angles. But the backbone of AI is really where Vertiv sits. AI is about compute, enhanced compute at the end of the day, creating intelligence that can be used to serve us in many different ways. And that compute requires an infrastructure platform to support it. And that is fundamentally where Vertiv exists. We provide the powertrain, the thermal chain, and a holistic suite of system-level solutions and architectures, basically, that support the GPU IT architecture that's being deployed to deliver AI to the world.
Ready for speed at scale. Currently, Vertiv is a more than $10 billion company with 34,000 employees globally. Your global headquarters are in Westerville. It's in Ohio in the US, but you operate across 30 manufacturing locations globally, serving more than, I think, 130 countries. Is it that? That's huge. That's really huge. But this is very important. You're also very grounded locally in Africa, Wojtek.
Absolutely. As you said, Vertiv has a global reach, but locally in Africa, we have a very strong long-term presence. Currently, we're operating from 5 locations on the continent.
On the continent, yes.
Headquarters being in South Africa, Johannesburg, where my home is currently.
Yeah.
We have offices in Nigeria, Kenya, Morocco, and Egypt.
According to this reality, what are the current market dynamics in Africa versus globally, Alex?
I think it's no kind of, how would I put it? There's no hiding where the market has really accelerated over the last couple of years, but now we see that acceleration happening globally and at scale. I think Africa's value proposition when it comes to AI is strengthening, day by day, week by week, month by month, and a huge amount of that is around power availability, improved connectivity, the cheap power aspect of this. AI applications are different compared to traditional data centers, and they mean that in some instances they can be less resilient. The applications that they're running don't need to necessarily conform to traditional design standards, which are very, how can I put it, inherently critical, and they have a lot of redundant power and everything else. Yeah. And so Africa really has a unique place, I think, where it can start to now offer that to serve not just its own continent from a sovereign perspective, but also outsourcing AI as a product to other users based on deployments that are coming here.
Yeah, so you prove that in Africa is really that.
Adding to that, if you look at Africa as a continent, it's full of young, entrepreneurial,
very talented people, high talented,
data-hungry population. And if I look at the capacity, I think we are reaching the limit. So there is a huge opportunity in enabling this data-hungry population through investments in data centers.
Is the current pace of technological change forcing you to rethink your infrastructure approach?
So rethink Yes, I suppose you could call it that. I think the point is that we are continuously having to innovate. So the first major, infrastructure cycle refresh that we saw was the onset of liquid cooling at scale. So AI servers are consuming higher amounts of power, which means you need liquid cooling to help manage the heat loads within those spaces. And that's now being deployed at scale globally, not just on Africa and sort of economy, but around the world. And having to ready that technology set for that scale of deployment is something that we did very well, and we've kept ourselves ahead of the market in that space. But we're constantly having to innovate now in terms of how does the powertrain evolve? What type of backup power sets do people want to be using? What is the, I suppose that the crux of what we're trying to achieve at the moment is enabling capacity deployments at scale. So the scale at which AI is being delivered now into various parts of the world, including Africa, is the likes of which we haven't seen before in terms of single site deployments, and the speed at which people are looking to try and to stand up these facilities is, a significant factor of reduction compared to traditional data center builds. So that's where we're working on platforms like Vertiv One Core to prefab, to modularize, to be able to basically bring to market and improve the time to token of AI platforms faster than anyone else in the market. That's a core part of where our R&D focus is.
There is no specificity in Africa. I think it's all the same on the continent.
It's fairly similar to what's happening on the global scale. We have a couple of very unique African challenges that are not that common outside of Africa. I mean, the usual suspect, the power availability and stability. I mean, that brings another level of complexity to the whole data center build. We have skills that are not yet at that level that they need to be to make sure that everything runs smoothly. We have regulatory environment that varies from country to country. It's not one continent.
It's not harmonious.
Absolutely. It's like 54 different types of regulatory environment. So it's very interesting and dynamic market.
And it's quite challenging as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it speaks to the importance of that local presence, right? Yeah. The local aspect of acting as that facilitator between the needs of one market versus the portfolio of a large global manufacturing company is so important, which is why we continue to invest in our people here.
Absolutely. And to be honest with you, we know that we will never be able to do it on our own. Hence, the local partnership that we are establishing. Local customer experience centers where we can educate, where we can provide trainings. That's a very important part of the journey on African market.
Talking about sustainability, what is Vertiv's stance on this, on green IT?
So I think, the public knowledge of the fact that data centers are an intensive energy consuming source has never been more understood. The core of what Vertiv can offer in that space is to provide the most efficient infrastructure platforms to the market. And that's been a core of our value proposition, across, all of our products since their inception. Data center operators are inherently driven to reduce the running costs of their facilities anyway. And by virtue of that, they reduce the power consumption, which in effect can then make them more sustainable in terms of practice. But one of the things that we really look at is how do we champion data centers to be a more kind of holistic, circular economy-led contributor to local societies. So, okay, perhaps a little bit less relevant in the African market, but we have how can they interface with district heating systems, for example. We do a lot of that in the Nordics. But if we think about Africa, there's how can they interface with the grid? How can we provide or make use of the energy reserves that exist within data centers, be it through a battery energy storage system or existing power that they have occupied, to be able to dynamically interface and offset to stabilize. So there's a host of different things that we can do there.
This is my last question. What are the key highlights for Vertiv at GITEX Morocco here this year, and how do they reflect the company's vision for AI infrastructure in Africa? Alex?
I think let me start with a very Morocco-related highlight for
this is good base for that
personally. Is the new vision that was introduced recently by Moroccan government, Morocco IA 2030. Where what's unique, because you see a lot of those announcements across whole Africa, but what stands out for me specifically is the focus on education within the strategy and focus on job creation. Everyone speaks about AI is taking away jobs. We see clearly the path to introduce
Train.
250,000 of new jobs in Morocco. If we follow the strategy of IA 2030 Morocco.
Interesting. Alex?
Yeah, and I think when as someone that attends a lot of exhibitions like this globally, you get a real sense of where is that drive and passion to truly innovate and that entrepreneurial spirit, and it is.
You feel it.
There's a fever here. Yeah. And so that's incredibly exciting. And with that, typically tends to come, a huge amount of market activity thereafter.
So I think this is not the last time I see you here.
Certainly not.
At GITEX Africa. This concludes Vertiv's perfect pitch. Thank you very much, Alex Brew, Wojtek Piorko. What we should wish you for 2026? Very fast.
Oh, just nothing but continued success.
Yeah, you too.
Another GITEX in Marrakech.
Wow, yeah, I agree with you. Well then, thanks a lot and all the best for Vertiv. Thank you.
Thank you.